there, guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion number 327, 2020 Vision. And we are joined again by Bombug, finally.
Hello everyone. I'm finally returned from my movie, and I have internet.
And you
It is
have
an excellent
internet. How
time.
exciting.
It is an excellent time to be alive when you have internet.
Yes, definitely. It helps so many things.
Yeah, especially being able to see some cool news like this 2020 vision. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, man. Do you have 2020 Vision?
I wear pretty
Yeah.
strong glasses.
Yeah, that was it. I knew that, but no one else did, so.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I'm kind of a nerd, man. I gotta wear my glasses.
yeah. But, 2020 Vision. I don't. Man, so let's start off. Okay. So it's going to be quite an exciting year for us. They say the devs, but it'll be exciting for us as the players too. We have our 1.0 date set 25th of September, and there's a lot of preparation to do. It is no doubt to any of us that we would not be able to have any success without the great community that has developed for the game over the last years and the support of our players and fans. As is almost tradition, Albert has prepared a commemorative postcard wallpaper to celebrate the last Friday facts of the year. So this is a postcard you could use. You can see a full res version if you want, like for a wallpaper. And this thing is, this is hilarious. This is really cool.
Yippee-ki-yay, man. Wow. That,
Man,
it's a lot of iron gears falling off of that there rocket.
that looks like, I mean, this guy's just having the time of his life, but this looks like it's coming apart at the seams here.
A little bit.
And I love the like charred biter flying off in like the top left.
That's excellent. I'm sure
This,
rockets should draw a lot of biters. You know, it's a lot of pollution pouring out there.
oh yeah, noise and stuff. They probably hate him. Uh, and the 1.0 with the gear over here. This is really cool. I really like it. I wonder how long it took him to put this together too. I'd imagine a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of little details on that. All sorts of cracks all over the metal.
Mm-hmm.
Cool junk.
So that's really cool. Moving to the main part of this, the local maximum, like if I could talk, the tutorials swap. So this is a lot of text. It's very, very easy to summarize. There are a few parts I actually want to read where he explains stuff. But basically, Kovrex, is who this is written by, had a very long break from kind of, well, a quote-unquote vacation from work by playing World of Warcraft Classic and generally getting distance to be able to help with the finishing of Factorio and with some perspective and a clear mind. So as he's returned from the lands of Azeroth, he has kind of a fresh view on things. And in that time, he was thinking about games in bigger perspective and has been like looking at some videos and stuff like a love letter to Gothic's open world design, Bethesda's game design is insulting, Climbing of Gaming, and Fallout 76 fails. Then they go way further than I thought it can. So basically, this whole section is about kind of changing up the tutorial slash campaign. He then played the new tutorial again and realized what we did. We found something very close to a local maximum. To start from the beginning, the whole goal of the new tutorial introduced in 017 was to explain Factorio to a wider audience, to make sure that even someone who wouldn't normally play the game would understand the concept and will automate. The motivation was partially due to the fear of someone playing the tutorial who just doesn't automate on their own. That someone would miss the idea of the game and would have a completely wrong perception of the game. For example, that someone would play it for 30 minutes and would think it's just about endless grinding, manual crafting, and they would never experience the automation mid-game, which is where the game starts to shine. This was a noble goal, but we didn't realize all the costs we had to pay for it. So basically, to make sure the players know how to research and use some of the machines and they get to experience that part of the game fast enough, we had to force them to do it early on. Firstly, this breaks the progression, which is one of the cornerstones of Factorio game design. The progression in the beginning is roughly this. So manual mining, automated logistics, automated production and science, which I mean, I would say is pretty accurate. Would you say that's kind of like the progression you took when you first started?
Yeah, definitely. That's the core of it, and I agree with what they're saying here on the tutorials that it maybe not quite following that, as it talks about in a little bit here.
Um, yeah, so basically the order of progression is very important, and um, so basically when you're starting, you're exploring the game mechanics in the logical order and understand motivation for these. This is in clear contradiction with forcing players to use assembly machines in the first 5 minutes of the game. So basically, long story short, there was no way of just tweaking the new tutorials. The fundament on which it was built was wrong. Luckily, I wasn't the only one feeling that way, so I had to do the very hard thing and telling the people that worked on it that we are scrapping it, and in 018 we will switch to using the old tutorials again. They're way less polished with lower production value, but these things are much less important than the core gameplay mechanics as far as I can tell. We plan to tweak several things in the old tutorials, but structures plan to be kept the same. This is definitely a lesson for the future. So, um, what are your do you have thoughts in regards to this?
Yeah. First off, ouch. That's a really hard hit for them to take. If you've been developing something for a while, kind of put your heart into it and also been excited about it because they've talked about it in past blogs, and we're happy with the progress they've been making. To see it get tossed away is a little rough, but when doing the tutorial myself, because very, very early on in my Factorio career, I did start off in version 16, but then went on to version 17 almost right away and did the tutorial there. I did feel that it didn't really match the game and was pretty confused when I got into the actual game, right? Because I was like looking around for scrap resources, like scrap metals to salvage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't any, and I didn't really have the what's his name, Compilatron, the
Mm-hmm.
robot guy, telling me what to do, and it took a long time to get to the automation because when I started my first free play, I didn't really know how to make assembler machines, right?
Right.
So it was like a real weird spot, and it took me actually 3 times to get into Factorio, right? 3 attempts on separate occasions before it finally stuck. So definitely the 17 tutorial didn't quite do it for me. Uh, Maybe the 16 does it better. It's been a while, and I can't really remember how the version 16 tutorial went. Do you know?
Uh, Not really. I never played. Well, I like looked at it a long time ago.
Yeah,
I
you were
think
already well into it by then, right?
yeah. I mean, I think one of the main differences is it didn't just give you the stuff in the world that didn't exist in the like free play version, or at least that you had to get through work. And then it also had them split up into different level, like different like whole different maps. So like in the 017 tutorial, it was all like one continuous map.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the 016 ones were like separate missions on separate
Oh
maps,
yeah.
which I did see a lot of people saying in the comments to this Friday Facts that they hope it's made into a continuous map because that's like the main thing they liked about the new tutorials. Um, but the general consensus does seem to be that everything else about the new tutorials was not really liked, and I would agree. Um, I think, and I mean, it's really hard to come up with like a decent tutorial. So
It
I
is.
don't, I don't,
It's
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very difficult process. If you're into game dev stuff, the Game Developers Convention often has 2 or 3 talks about tutorials every year. Uh, and it's a very complex subject of how do you keep people entertained? How do you deliver things in a foolproof sort of a way? How do you avoid soft locks? We talked about soft locks a little while ago, where it's like you can potentially get your player stuck in a point where they cannot progress and they don't even know why, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that goes behind those tutorials. And going back to the earlier portion of this post where it talks about like dumbing down game design in general, like particularly, I don't know if you've seen the video of Bethesda's game design is insulting,
Mm-hmm.
but it talks about how games like Oblivion, well, the Elder Scrolls series went from giving you details where you need to explore the world and find locations and events yourself
Mm-hmm.
and really puzzle things out into the current world that it is, where you get a quest marker and you go and you talk to person, or you go and you kill thing, and that's roughly all that there is to it. Same for the Fallout series, where you used to have some, your special stats, which would give you real options to many encounters that really change the way the whole encounter went, or change the way you possibly can or cannot open some sort of a door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's really not a lot of that anymore. So they don't want to dumb down the game design to the point where the actual game is being hurt just so they can have good tutorial.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means players will not make it through the tutorial because it's a little complex or a little difficult or a little time consuming is a big one for Factorio. But that's kind of okay, because as much as they hate to lose those players, it really does seem like they're focusing on those players who already know the kind of game that they're getting into and want to get into that, where they want to be automating and they want to get complex.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, I completely agree. That's a very good um, explanation in comparison to those other games, because I wasn't like super familiar with the state and change in those other games. But in regards to the Factorio tutorial itself, I did play a fair bit of the 017 one myself, just out of curiosity, and I was confused. Like, I don't need a tutorial, but I was confused, because like it says here, and I had it opened on the forum discussion on the first page, like the fifth response down. Kovacs mentions like some more problems that he didn't really mention in the Friday facts, that basically, and you already mentioned these, is that there's stuff in these tutorials that don't even exist in the main game, essentially. The scrap, and there's like a customized assembler machine that you can't change the recipe on or move, that's already there. And then there's like the special like Completron box you put stuff in that like you can't pick up or
Yeah.
anything. And it's just like, and then you had to like load materials into an assembler with loaders or something. They may have changed the loaders part, but it was just like, it was not the experience you were actually going to get when you went to play the main free play game, because I mean, Completron isn't in it, Scrap isn't in it. You don't just have assemblers set up throughout the world, and when you do place them, you can change them and move them. So I think it was just like really um, not a good representation of what you were going to experience in the game.
Yeah. So overall, do you think that this is a good change then for them to scrap it and try a little revamp maybe of the old tutorial?
Yes. I would say scrapping the new tutorial is a good decision. I can't say either way because I really don't remember that well the
Mm.
016 one
Yeah,
and
that was
before,
a
so
while
I can't
back.
say if that's necessarily an improvement, just because I don't remember. But I do think revamping and kind of getting rid of the 017 one is good. And I do really feel, like you said, I do really feel bad for the people who worked on it, and I know they put a ton of work into it. And it's not that they even did like a bad job. It just kind of, a lot of times you like go into something with a good vision, and then the way it ends up is just like slightly different enough to be like a big enough problem to have to change or remove. Um, and that's kind of what happened here. And I definitely feel like this is a good decision for them to kind of get rid of it. Um,
It actually does speak volumes for their management, or at least their team's ability to convince management about this topic, though, because a lot of other companies would be like, no, we made it, we put time into it, ship it, it's going out.
yeah,
So for them to
most
be able to say, hey, the player experience is what we care about, we're not going to go on sales, we want to keep the quality just ever increasing on this game,
mm-hmm.
make it something that people really want to play, and everything that goes into it is going to make the experience better. So we're going to take something out that makes the experience worse. That's awesome for them and their team and management to decide to actually stand to their standards.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a huge testament to their standards and their integrity. So that's the big news there. Next thing, last thing, short. We'll keep it short. 2 million sales. It's been
Woo!
it's pretty huge milestone, and I kind of had a feeling we had to have reached 2 million or so by now, but it was actually very recently. Basically, it's been on the horizon for a long time. Long time on the horizon, and the Christmas gift giving has given us that last push. You know, people probably buying it as gifts for people. For us to reach 2 million sales, I would say it's quite an achievement for an indie game that has never been on sale, and he doesn't mention this, is still in early access.
Woo. It's
Um,
one of the very few well done early access games out there. They're sticking to their guns with their quality. It's great.
oh yeah, for sure. So we first hit 1 million sales in May of 2017. So it's been about 2.5 years to sell another million copies. I wonder how long till 3 million. Any bets? Um,
Ooh.
what do you think? Want to
Oh
just
man.
throw a date out there?
Throw a date out there. I'm thinking, let me scroll up a little bit. September 25th. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Oh gee, I wonder where that came from.
I'm
um,
excited for that 1.0 release. I think they've got a really big marketing hype that they're going to be able to put into this, and you know, get some new players in the player base. It'll be fun.
mm-hmm. I'm gonna say um, they're gonna hit 3 million in exactly 1 year.
Mm,
By the
that
last
makes
Friday
sense.
facts of this coming year, they're going to hit it because 1.0, like you said, there's going to be a ton of marketing hype probably beforehand and after its release. Give it another 2 months after 1.0 for all the people to buy 1.0 who maybe were waiting after early access or once the marketing hits, plus all the Christmas gift giving of 1.0. I think 3 million by last Friday facts of next year.
Sounds like a good bet.
And if I'm correct, then everyone watching this now owes me $10.
Oh
And then I'll
boy.
use it to buy more copies if
Tier
it
two
hasn't hit
subs, here
3
we
million
go.
yet. Yeah. um, so he finds it quite interesting and not surprising to look at the proportion of the sales that come from each of our distribution channels. As you can expect, Steam accounts for the majority of the copies games sold. I love how the graph is in a gear too.
That is so Factorio of them.
Yep. So as you can see, 90% Steam, 6.2% website before Steam launch, 1.7 website after Steam launch, and 1.8 other, which I believe is probably Humble Bundle. I don't know where. I think they have it one other place. Maybe is it GOG? I don't know. I think they have it one other
Probably.
place besides Humble Bundle and Steam.
You gotta get on that Epic Game Store, man. Get exclusive. Get that money. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, But so not really surprising. But what is also interesting is that we had a lot more sales on our. Okay, but, either this is Steam cannibalizing our website sales, or just everybody who wanted to buy it on our site did so before launching on Steam. Another data point we're speculating on is that 81.3% of people who purchased the game on our website redeemed and activated their Steam key, factoring that into above numbers. About 96.7 of all players own the game on Steam. I would say that um, wait, yeah, I didn't entirely understand that, but people who purchase the game on our website redeem it. Okay, yeah, I would say a lot of people who did buy it on their website initially did redeem a Steam key. Um,
Yeah. Steam is just such a convenient place to, you know, load your games up, get your achievement tracking. If you play Factorio with friends, join through Steam, you know? A lot of good
mm-hmm.
options there.
Yeah, for sure.
There are some games that don't work that well on Steam. Path of Exile is one of them, where the way that Steam updates game files makes the patches incredibly long for Steam. So occasionally you'll see people will buy it straight from the company game site, and then they'll maybe add it to their Steam library, but it won't be a Steam game. It'll be just a game on their computer that they're launching through Steam, right?
Mm-hmm.
and that can help resolve a lot of the problems. I don't know that Factorio really provides a lot of benefit on its own, though, right? Steam just has some really good controls to choose the version and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that much of a advantage having it on its own at this point.
Yeah, it's just some good marketing info for anyone wanting to sell their games. It's good to have your own website because that's where a lot of your marketing is done and people are going to Google you.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely get it on Steam. Have a Steam page up for your game before it's released, as long as you read the terms of service and you're okay with then releasing your game on Steam. Because some people will take it off, and that's against the Steam terms of service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good info for sure. Last bit. When they reach 1 million sales, they threw a party to celebrate. They're not doing that for this milestone, but they're thinking of having a party to celebrate 1.0 launch next year. Any news of that will, of course, be communicated in the usual way. The party for 1 million sales, I really wanted to go to that, but it was in Prague, obviously.
Yeah,
And
that's a bit of a flight.
it's like 21-hour flight, and it was like $1,500 each way for a ticket.
Each way.
Or
Okay.
maybe total. It was like it was so
It could
expensive.
be.
And I was just like, oh, okay, well, guess I'm
Yeah,
not going to that.
yeah, I guess not.
We'll see where I am in life when 1.0 launches. I would love to go to that, but, whew, man, maybe I'll just rent a private jet.
Oh yeah, it'd be
Not
cheaper.
cheaper, but easier easier for sitting there for 21 hours.
Oh my gosh, that is such a long flight. Longest I've ever done was like 18 hours or something. It's just too much.
That's too much. Maybe in a year they'll have teleportation. Elon Musk, let's go.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, just take some sleeping pill. That's effectively teleportation.
Yeah, true. I think that's gonna do it, guys. Went a bit longer than we wanted, but with some really good. It's really interesting to discuss the tutorial and stuff like that. So we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave them on the forums and the Reddit. And yeah, this is the last Friday facts until next year. So next one we will be in 2020, and I hope you guys have a great New Year and had a great holiday. And we will catch you later.
Catch you later.